Hey, welcome to the webinar. My name's Keenan. I'm the CEO of VistaLeads.com. That's me right there. And as you're watching the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to learn more about you and your business. Now, the reason I put together this webinar is because for years I've had customers come to me and say, "Help! I need new customers!" And I'm not sure how to find them. I don't want to spend a fortune, and I don't have a lot of time. Now, if that is you and you've ever found yourself in that situation, you're going to love today's webinar. This is a two-part webinar, and you're currently watching part one, where I'm going to be teaching you about the power of a specific type of automated marketing system called a lead capture funnel. And we're really going to dive into the principles behind a lead capture funnel and why you would want one. Then, in part two of the webinar, I'm going to teach you how to use this knowledge to implement your own automated lead capture funnel in your business and get on the fast track to getting new customers. Okay, enough about me. I want to talk about you. And I want to ask you, what is your end game? What is it that motivates you to do the awesome things you do? Why are you an entrepreneur? Why are you starting a business? Do you have the hope to maybe sell the company for millions of dollars? Do you just want a passive and residual income stream? Do you want something to pass down to the children? What is it that motivates you? And do you have a plan to make your end game a reality? Think about that. Do you have a specific plan? And if you don't, I hope that as you go through this webinar, you can solidify that plan a little bit more or begin to create it. Okay, so I want to answer the question that's on your mind right now. Is this webinar for you? Well, I'll tell you really quick if it's for you. If you are not looking to grow your business, this webinar is not for you. If you are not afraid to take action and you're determined to grow your business, this is definitely for you. One of the things that drives me crazy is when people take their time watching stuff like this and learning all these great principles, but they never take time to act and to actually implement the principles. You're wasting your time if you're learning stuff and you're not actually applying it. Okay, if you want to leave finding your customers to chance, and you for some odd reason enjoy the chaos and the adrenaline rush that comes with not knowing where your next client or your next paycheck is going to be coming from, this is not for you. But if you want a steady but a sure way to make money, this is definitely for you. Now, I want to make this clear. This is not going to be a get-rich-quick scheme. It will require some effort. Not a ton of effort, but what I'm going to teach you about will definitely require some effort. So, like I mentioned, I designed this webinar for great entrepreneurs like you who need to find more customers but might not have a solid game plan, or maybe you don't have a fortune to waste to figure out how to make that happen. And I'm going to be teaching you how to create your own automated marketing system called the lead capture funnel. A lead capture funnel that will make this all possible. And I'm going to get into the details of what a lead capture funnel is in part two, and I'm going to teach you exactly how it works, but I want to help you understand the underlying principles as to why these funnels are so effective. Well, not long ago, my team and I, we surveyed business owners in over 24 industries all across the country, and they all have different levels of experience and success, and we asked them, what do you think the two main reasons small businesses stay small are? And in the hundreds of answers that we were given, most of the answers fell into these two categories. The first thing that keeps small businesses small is if the entrepreneur, the founding team, or the managers have what's called a solopreneur mindset. This is the idea that they have to do everything themselves and that they either can't afford to delegate or they don't want to because no one can do it as good as them, whatever reason. And this leads to a lot of stress and anxiety because the entrepreneur, hopefully you haven't felt like this, but the entrepreneur feels like the weight of the world is on their shoulders. And this leads to something called burnout very quickly. And when entrepreneurs have this mindset, they also tend to think very small and they underestimate their potential and what they're capable of. And to be honest with you, I can understand exactly why this is. Because if someone is as busy as they can stand just being a semi-successful entrepreneur, they often assume that being a really successful entrepreneur will mean at least twice that much stress, chaos, and anxiety. But that is not true. The difference between a very successful entrepreneur and a semi-successful one is that the very successful entrepreneur has the ability to replicate their efforts or duplicate themselves and properly scale their business. And that brings us into the second thing that keeps small businesses small: having a lack of great systems. So what is a system? Well, a system is a set of repeatable processes or steps to get stuff done in an efficient way, to get things done quick. So kind of like a checklist that you could give to someone and they could go A to Z and they could complete the entire task just following that checklist. Or you could give this checklist to a software or a computer program to do that for you. Now, my favorite type of systems are the automated ones that you can give to a computer program. These can take quite a while to set up, but once they're finished, oh, it's awesome because you can keep using it over and over and over again. And it will keep taking stress out of your life. It will keep taking stuff off of your plate. Wouldn't that be nice for you? But you don't have to spend any more time building it. It's great. Do you ever wish that you could clone yourself? Creating systems is how you can do that. Do you feel like you don't have enough time in your day to do what you need to do or whatever? Well, create a system. Either something ran by a computer or something done by somebody else that can do that for you and take the stress off of you. That's going to give you the time to focus on the things that are most important for your business. Okay, so you're probably thinking, this all sounds great, Keenan. It really sounds great. But obviously, it's not as easy as you're making it sound. Otherwise, I would have done it already. And I'm going to tell you, that's absolutely true. It does take some work to make this happen. I told you that when I asked you whether the webinar was for you. I wanted to make sure that you were actually committed to act and do the things that you need to do to set up your own automated marketing systems and get your business growing before you invested time into watching this webinar. Now, if you're anything like most of the entrepreneurs I work with on a daily basis, there are a few main obstacles keeping you from building great systems in your company. The first one, you don't know how to create a system. No one's taught you how to do it yet. There are a lot of different softwares and courses and great companies out there that can teach you how to create automated systems. But the big problem is that most of them are so dang complicated that you'd have to shut down your entire business for 6 months while you learn how to use the software. There's a ton of platforms out there that have like 500 bells and whistles that all seamlessly integrate with all of your other favorite platforms which have 500 bells and whistles, and that's all cool. I mean, it really is. But when something is so complicated that even the thought of using it makes you feel like quitting, it is not right for you. So at Vista Leads, we've taken a different approach. We want to help you create automated marketing systems, right? The lead capture funnels I'm going to be teaching you about. But we've thrown away all the bells and whistles and only given you the most essential components you need to get your own system up and running and be successful. Now, Vista Leads is an amazing fit for the entrepreneur that has way too much on their plate right now and they can't afford to take months to get something up and running. Actually, with Vista Leads, you can get your entire lead capture funnel set up in about 10 minutes. Start to finish, 10 minutes, no technical experience. It's really cool. So the second reason you might not have created automated systems before is because you don't have the resources, or at least you don't think that you do. A lot of platforms out there cost anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a month to keep things running. Plus, you might have to hire somebody to run those things. Well, Vista Leads costs $67 a month. And unlike a lot of the platforms out there that will send you through these ridiculously complicated training courses that will take you 2 months to complete, we send you through a Kickstart Success program where we spend about 20 minutes teaching you the ins and outs of the software. That's all you need. And then the rest of the time, we focus on how you can actually use the software to get more customers and make money. And then we follow up with you to make sure it actually happens. Okay, so number 3, going back to the superhero mentality. A lot of business owners struggle with this one. It can be very difficult to delegate, so you don't have your hands tied in every single aspect of your business. But it's really hard to make a system if you're the center of everything too. So you need to have confidence in delegating to either your team or a computer program. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There are a lot of things that I can do better than some of my team members. But if I try to do all of those things, I get myself nowhere. Actually, I get worse than nowhere. I get a bunch of stuff part of the way completed, and nothing ever gets finished. So if you want to have the superhero mentality, you need to take that mentality and your superhero effort and apply that to making great systems that will make your life easier. So not creating systems can really be a big problem, especially if you ever hope to sell your company in the future or if you want to hire someone else to run it for you. I want to tell you a story about a good friend of mine, someone who I'm very close to, and we'll call him Dr. Johnson. Now, Dr. Johnson was one of the best dentists in the country for years. I mean, this guy was good. He worked with celebrities, professional sports teams, and TV stars, a bunch of other cool people. Plus, he worked with tens of thousands of non-celebrity patients, too. Because Dr. Johnson was so talented, he built his entire business around himself and his talents, what he could do great. He didn't need any other dentist, nothing like that. He wanted one of these things called a lifestyle business, and he had a fantastic lifestyle business. He's able to take lots of time off, travel all over the place, on these amazing vacations. You know, I'm still jealous of a lot of his vacations. He spent 40 years building his legacy and enjoying his lavish lifestyle he'd created for himself. But he got so caught up in the process, being the center of his business, that he never thought about what would happen when he didn't want to be the center or when he couldn't be the center anymore. One day, Dr. Johnson decided to sell his practice so he could retire and spend some more time with his family, all the good stuff in life. And when he listed his practice for sale, he discovered a very, very harsh reality. He had failed to build systems into his practice. He had never taken the thought of what will happen to my business if I ever need to walk away or if I want to. In particular, he never worried about creating marketing systems because all of his new patients came from referrals and from word-of-mouth marketing. He fell into what I like to call the word-of-mouth marketing trap. And what do I mean by that? Well, think about that for a second. The reason his business was growing was because people liked Dr. Johnson. And so they'd tell their friends, hey, Dr. Johnson's great, go see him. But if you take Dr. Johnson out of the equation, the patients now have no reason to send the practice new referrals, and the practice's only source of new patients instantly disappears. And not only that, but the patients that were going to the practice are going to start looking for another dentist because they love Dr. Johnson, not the systems he'd created. There are a lot of great entrepreneurs that fall into the word-of-mouth marketing trap. And that is a huge mistake. Remember, word-of-mouth marketing is great. It's kind of like the gravy and the meat and the potatoes, but it is not the meat and potatoes. If it's your only source of new customers, I promise you, you are heading for a disaster. You need a system that can consistently get you new customers. Okay, so not only did Dr. Johnson's practice stop receiving new referrals, the existing patients left to go find another dentist when they found out he was going to retire. Then, to make matters worse, all of his equipment was outdated and no one wanted to pay full price for it. No patients, no word-of-mouth referrals, and no valuable equipment. That meant that he now had a practice that was completely worthless. And he tried working for a few years to correct some of those mistakes he had made, but it was too late. And his health got bad and it was really unfortunate, and he just wasn't able to pull it off. In the end, instead of Dr. Johnson selling a thriving business for millions of dollars, he scraped together his outdated dental equipment and sold it for a fraction of its worth. He went from living a life of luxury to just scraping by to make ends meet. And that was his entire retirement. 40 years of working hard, day after day, to build a successful business. And that is what he got out of it. Because he didn't have this end game in mind. He didn't create great systems that someone would eventually want to buy from him. Like I said, I love Dr. Johnson. He's a great friend and a great mentor of mine. But I'm sharing this with you because this happens to too many business owners, and I do not want this happening to you. And that is exactly why I'm teaching you how to begin building systems, especially marketing systems. So you'll be able to build a business that can eventually be sold, or that you can hire someone else to run for you, or at least a business that isn't so emotionally draining and time consuming for you. I want to ask you about what causes your biggest headache when it comes to growing your business and finding new customers. I ask a lot of entrepreneurs this question, and most of these headaches originate with those two obstacles we just got done discussing. Having either a solopreneur mindset or not having great systems in place to leverage your time. So I want to tell you about another friend of mine. His name's Sam. Well, his name's not really Sam, but we'll call him that. Now, Sam owns a tree care business. And in the summer, he is so ridiculously busy with his 18 to 20-hour days that he doesn't see his family, he doesn't go on vacation, and he can't enjoy himself. Which is completely opposite of why he started his business, right? Maybe you found yourself in that situation before. Anyways, Sam came to me one day and said, Keenan, I need help taking some of my summer customers and making them winter customers. He said, I'm so busy in the summer, I can't get new customers, so I can't grow my business, and nobody thinks about trimming their trees in the winter, which is really unfortunate because apparently, from what he told me, trimming trees in the winter is much healthier for the trees. And so he said, Keenan, how can we get some of my summer customers to become winter customers so I'm not so dang busy in the summer? And we set up this simple system. Sam wrote a little email blast. It's like a 3 or 4 paragraph email blast. Hey guys, summer's super busy. It's really hard for us to get to your trees. Let's push you to winter. It's better for your trees. We'll save you some money. And then he used Vista leads to create what's called a landing page where they could request a 20% off discount by booking their service in the winter. Now, I'll admit, I was skeptical at first. Sam had a big problem because he had no money coming in the winter, but he still had to pay for his equipment and his fees and licensing and all that. And he still had to pay his team unless they'd leave him and get a new job, but he had no money coming in. And so when he sent out this email, I was worried. I was really worried that it wasn't going to get him the results he's looking for. But in that same weekend that Sam sent the email, he had over $9,000 of new business lined up in the coming weeks. That was really cool, and it ended up saving his business. It gave him enough revenue to get, through that kind of dead period until things would start picking back up again in the spring. Okay, I want to tell you just a little quick story about me. Many years ago, I attended college at Hogwarts, or Utah State University, but it kind of looks like Hogwarts, and it definitely felt like witchcraft while I was there. And I spent most of my life in this little part right there. Okay, so I was a very typical college student. I had no money, as broke as a joke, and had no time. And I had worked a lot of, what I'd call the fun college jobs. I worked retail, I'd worked custodial for a while, I did landscaping, but I decided I was done with that stuff. I wanted to set up my own thing. I decided that I was going to create an entertainment business. I wanted to get paid to party and help other people have a great time partying. Now keep in mind, I didn't have a lot of time or money. So I knew I had to figure out a very simple and a very quick way to find new customers. And I ended up creating the same type of marketing system I'm going to teach you how to set up. And this was a very simple system, I promise you. If you had 1 to 2 hours and I gave you a little bit of guidance, you could have set this thing up yourself. But I loved this system because it would make my phone ring 5 to 10 times a week on average with new clients. One time, I remember it like it was yesterday, I was staring at the donut section of the grocery store. Trying to decide which 36 donuts I wanted to buy and eat that day. When out of nowhere, my phone started ringing and interrupted my intense decision-making process. So, kind of irritated, I pull out my phone and, answer it. Hello, this is Keenan. What do you want? And the voice on the other end was a woman's voice, and she said, Hi, Keenan. This is Jennifer from JetBlue. And then there's this awkward pause. My mouth like fell completely open. And I was like, hi. And then once it clicked that this was JetBlue, and JetBlue had this thing called money, oh man, I lost it. I was all giddy and bouncing up and down, and it was really weird because people would walk by and stare at me with this beaming smile, and I'd kind of like muffle the microphone on my phone and turn to them and be like, guys, this is JetBlue. Yes, yes, yes. And of course, they'd like roll their eyes and like run off, grab their children, all that good stuff. Anyways, my team and I were able to work with JetBlue, and here's a picture of us entertaining at their 15th anniversary event. And here's some pictures of some decor we made for them. Now, this little tiny system I set up in 1 to 2 hours years ago, the same system I'm going to teach you how to set up in part 2 of the webinar, opened the door for me to start working with JetBlue. Now, things get even more fun because not much after that, and I'm sitting there one day at home, bored, whatever, and my pocket vibrates. So naturally, I pull out my phone, and I see I have an email. And I notice the email is from someone named Stephanie, who I had never before met. So I was like, oh, cool, my automated marketing system. It's at it again. And then I opened the email and began to read it, and this is what I saw. Hi, Keenan. My name is Stephanie, and I work with Procter & Gamble. And immediately, I was like, oh my gosh, she probably knows the Charmin Bear. Holy crap, she totally knows the Charmin Bear. And it was, the bear on the toilet paper commercials. But it was kind of fun because I actually got to entertain at that event, and I met the Charmin Bear, the one and only Charmin Bear. And I was actually able to jump in my photo booth with the Charmin Bear, and it was really cool. But then things got kind of awkward because he actually started tugging at my shirt sleeve and was trying to get Charmin clean on my shirt, and that was uncomfortable. But Procter & Gamble wanted to work with me. Now, to me, this is very interesting because as far as I know, I'm still one of the highest paid entertainers in Utah. But I am by no means the best entertainer. I just have the best systems. And once again, these systems are very simple. But the reason I have the best systems is because no one else has taken the time to figure out how to get their own systems to work. Now, you're on this webinar right now. And because you're here, I'm going to teach you how to set this system up for your business. I'm going to teach you about the principles that I use to attract JetBlue and Procter & Gamble and hundreds of other great clients. Okay, fast forward a few years, and I was too busy, my dang systems kept too many clients coming into me that I couldn't handle my entertainment business anymore. And in the meantime, I'd moved on to some bigger and better things like Vista Leads. And so, to make more time for Vista Leads and the awesome entrepreneurs I was working with every day there, I decided to sell half of my entertainment business. Now, if your end game that we talked about at the beginning of the webinar is to sell your business, pay close attention to this part. Now, I did not sell my business for millions and millions of dollars, but I sold it for enough to make me pretty dang happy. And that was really awesome for me. But the reason that I was able to sell half of my company was because I had my systems in place. I'd figured out how to automate the terrible, monotonous, boring things that I hated doing. And the person that ended up acquiring my company did so because he saw the value in these systems. And he decided that it would be a lot easier to pay me for the systems rather than setting them up himself. Now remember, I kept half of my company intact. I only sold half of it. So I still have some of these systems in place. And these same simple systems that I created way back in college years ago still continue to make me anywhere from $300 to $1,000 every single week. Now, I don't know about you or where you stand in your business. Maybe $300 to $1,000 a week is nothing. But what would an extra $300 to $1,000 a week do for you and your business? Actually, let me rephrase that. What would an extra $300 to $1,000 a week do for you if it didn't take you any extra time to make that money? Now, to be completely honest, I haven't really tried to improve my system since I set it up, so those results are pretty mediocre. Not to mention my market's pretty small. But we have clients on Vista Leads who are using the same system and the same principles we're talking about right now and are seeing much bigger results. Some of our clients, like Sam, are seeing $8,000 to $10,000 being brought in 1 week. What would that do for your business? Would you like to have an automated marketing system that can do that? If so, like I said, I'm going to teach you how to set it up in part 2 of the webinar. Now, that's the end of the first part of the webinar, and I want to congratulate you for making it this far. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that claim they want to grow their business, but few of them actually do anything about it. And you watching all this webinar tells me that you are in the rare few that is eager to learn and willing to take action. Now, by this point, you should have a firm understanding of why you should want to create automated systems for your business. And in part 2 of the webinar, I'm going to teach you how to apply what we've been talking about so far to create what's called a lead capture funnel for your company. So I want you to scroll down below this video on the webpage and find the box that says, Keenan, I'm ready for part 2 of the webinar, and go ahead and fill that out and click send over the webinar, and we'll see you soon in part 2, where once again, I'm going to teach you how to set up your own lead capture funnel for your business in a matter of minutes.